Beautiful. So let's start with Cassie. Fill us in a little bit about your journey with Young Living, like when that got started. Was that kind of the beginning of kind of your natural wellness, like an introduction, or was this all part of? Anyway, I'm curious to know how it all manifested.
So it all started about 6 years ago. I was a teacher for 8 years. And then when I was pregnant with my second child, my husband and I realized my full-time income was going to be just enough to pay for both our kids to go to full-time childcare. And so we decided it just wasn't worth the stress of not really having any money. And, I know there's a lot of teachers out there that understand that the extra stress, and especially right now, but just the stress of teaching. And then we just decided it wasn't going to be best for our family. So we thought it was going to be best for me to stay home. And then it turns out that that was not best for me personally, like for my mental state. So emotionally, I was super, super struggling with just being at home with a toddler and a newborn. My husband decided to bring home a puppy. And so things were just a little rocky there for a little bit. And I was kind of confessing these feelings of just not feeling like myself to my son's at the time preschool teacher. And so she introduced me to Young Living products to kind of help support my emotions. And little did I know that this little introduction of essential oils was going to open my mind to so many different things. And it started with, opening my mind to emotional wellness, physical wellness, just with the Young Living products. But then it became more about like a whole body experience, eliminating toxins in as many environments as we possibly could. And then it got even deeper when I started kind of plugging into different events and classes and our incredible Ignite event. And I was surrounded by the community. So now I was physically and emotionally being supported, and then being supported and uplifted, not just like living my life, but like being uplifted, leveled up by our incredible community. And then it became an income opportunity, which then just built me up even more, because then I felt like I was actually contributing more in my home. I felt more self-worth. I dove into the personal development, and that just helped me to skyrocket again in my personal belief. And when I'm a better person for myself, I'm a better person for my family. And so it just has been such an incredible 6 years. So to answer your question, it started with a little bottle of oil to support my emotions, and then just kind of tumbled into this incredible experience of supporting and uplifting and leveling up just basically every area of my life, which has been amazing.
Wow. That's so wonderful. Yeah. So well, yeah, you shared that perfectly. Like just what a journey. And the fact that, you sharing the whole emotional support oil, I'm curious to know what what oil was.
Stress away, of course. And it's still my go-to, like wake up, feeling a little frazzled, grab some stress away, driving in the car, kids screaming in the back, grab the stress away. Like it's still my like number one go-to oil.
Yeah. Rock on. That's awesome. When you're using that, are you like putting it on your wrist or just a drop in your hands, or?
Well, it depends what I have. So I always carry the roller with me in my purse. So if I'm driving, I quickly grab that out of the purse, roll. If the kids are having the tantrum in the back, just throw that back there. Yeah. I don't throw it. I gently reach my hand back and give it to my kids. Diffuse it. If I'm at home, I'll put it in the diffuser, a drop in the hand. Yeah. The scent tent. So yeah, all the different ways.
So amazing. It's so wild as you're like sharing that emotional piece. I honestly feel like so many of the, my emotions show up in my body like that. Like when my mind is kind of off, or my emotions are, off kilter, like my body is just, and they say stress is one of the, most influential, upon our health, right? It's one of the most influential upon our health is stress. And it's like, so to have tools, right? To have tools that can help us. So I'm so thankful that, that's how you got started. And I think there's so many of us on the Young Living journey that have similar, like, I pretty much am putting on oils mostly for emotions these days.
Oh yeah, especially right now. Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. And not to say I'm not using them also for, immune system support and whatnot. But that's definitely, I hear you on
Other
that.
things. But it's so cool once you're aware of this, you know, aware of how the stress is making your body feel, to know that you have that arsenal to just
Totally.
kind of grab and smell, and that it's gentle enough. I can give it to my kids and, you know,
Yeah.
not have to really be careful of how much they're using
Yeah.
and things like that.
Totally. Totally. Well, and then as you're sharing about the, the business kind of, you went to that Ignite event, and that kind of was like, whoa, what is going on here? That Living Well Now community, I can relate to that, right? Sarah and I kind of launched our business 6 years ago, and this Living Well Now thing was taken off, and we're like, what is going on? I'm like, am I going to go back and teach math, or is this something, for me? And yeah, say more about just that, what have been some key takeaways as far as personal development goes? Because I know that that's something we all kind of are clear on, right? And as we've been growing our business is like,
Well, and it was something I literally didn't expect from this business at all. Like you don't go into a typical business situation expecting to become a better version of yourself. Like, in what other business does that actually happen? You know, that you actually better yourself personally,
mm,
and the effects, you know, are a domino to everybody around you.
mm,
I made that decision though. It's definitely a decision that has to be made. I decided
yep,
that I was doing this business and that I was going to really just go at it. I was either going to go at it or I wasn't going to do it. Like, it was one or the other. And so once I made that decision that this is what I was going to do, and that I had only a small amount of time to really prove it to myself before I had to make that choice, like you, am I
mhm,
going to go back to the classroom once my daughter is old enough for school?
right,
Once I made that decision, I had that tiny amount of time. I did it. And so I plugged into everything our incredible community offers. We do tons of online trainings. Well, basically everything's online right now,
right,
but you know, up until this year, it was, you know, being surrounded around as many people as I possibly could that were there for the same thing, that uplifting, that inspiration, motivation, you know, being aware of our thoughts and our mindset. So surrounding myself with those people and really plugging into all the different systems and things that we had. And then, you know, there's so many just resources out there to help you dive into that mindset and that personal development. But it wasn't until I started really listening to things intentionally, reading more nonfiction books and fictional books, and just attending all of those different trainings and events, that I really noticed the difference in myself, and everybody else around me could see that difference as well, who had known me, you know, pre-young living as a business. So super
mhm,
thankful for all the resources that, and most of them are free, or, you know, you pay the $15 a month for Audible, you know, things like that. But I
yeah,
mean, besides that, it doesn't have to cost a ton to just dive into it.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. And I think we just weren't raised with this entrepreneurial mind, right? So, to think that it's just gonna all of a sudden you're gonna launch a side hustle and then boom, all of a sudden your entrepreneurial brain's gonna turn on. It's like, nah, you kind of actually have to, pour into it, right? Because we've been raised in that Monday through Friday world. Um, and not to say there aren't, like, right, setting goals and having action steps with, with the Young Living business. I mean, there's methods, right? There's skills that you have to learn. Um, but the being your own boss reality, right, is like, you have to fill the new story, right? The new entrepreneurial brain.
Right. And then definitely making the choice and choosing what you connect with. Also, that's the other piece, is really figuring out who you are as like this independent person, which is, you know, we're, like I said, I love our community and everything it's brought to me, but we're still individuals, which I love. So we're guided and we have lots of different systems that can be followed, but then we are all encouraged to find our own kind of path, or what turns us on in the business, and who we relate to as mentors, from afar or from near, which I love. I love our like cross line support
Mhm.
with different team members. And but yeah, you're right, it's not something most of us were raised with.
Right.
um we were, a lot of us are raised thinking that we go to school for this long and then we have this job for this long. And,
Mhm.
eventually you might retire and have some like retirement money, but we've never, or I guess that we shouldn't speak for everybody, but it
No,
seems like it's not so common to be raised at, there's these other paths that you could go on.
right.
So it's cool to be kind of raising that next generation too. My kids are
Mhm.
seeing that. I'm taking a different path. And well, they used to think I don't work. Now they're like, oh, mom's on a call,
Right.
mom's going to a class, mom's listening to a book. Like now they see the different paths, which is super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's so neat, right? Just to think, I mean, to think 10 years ago, I mean, I didn't have any idea that this would be what I would be pouring my time and love into, like,
No
right?
idea.
Yeah. I mean, you were in the classroom doing your
Yep.
thing. Yeah. Anyway, if somebody were hopping on, whether watching this on replay or they're live right now, um, what did allow you to make that decision? What was that clarifying, like, you know what? I'm going to do this. Like, I do want to dive in and really give it my all. Because becoming a thousandaire with Young Living is a journey, right? That not everybody will choose. We all have unique pulls and unique commitment levels, right? But you've chosen that. What was that turning point for you that you were like, okay, here we go. I choose this.
I think in and gosh, it's only been 6 years, like, but even in just these few years, I've had so many different like pivotal moments in my business
Mhm.
where I've been like, okay, here we go, like we're doing this, it's happening. And I think one of the biggest ones was when when I attended our Ignite event. Gosh, it was the very first one, so I think it was like over 6 years ago, or
Mhm.
close to 6 years ago. And I heard Andrea, your sister-in-law, speak about ways to fail. And I'm like, oh, those are the ways you fail? Like, if that's how you fail, then I could definitely like make this business happen, right? And so I think it was hearing other people's stories of failure and success,
Mhm.
and kind of almost making it like a competition to myself. Like, could I do it better? Oh yeah, I could probably do it better. And then seeing that there was just so much support in the team, and then what happened was, this was really cool.
Mhm.
When I decided, okay, I'm in, I'm going, and not everybody makes that like decision, right? That like solid decision. Sometimes it happens in just a slower way.
Mhm.
But when I made that decision, and I had a team member, Lisa Vandenbush, and she had so much belief in me that I could do this business. She had like an incredible amount of faith in me that I was going to do this business. And I looked at her and I was like, are you crazy? Like, I am not a leader. I am not a boss. I am not like this person. And she's like, she got actually really upset that I didn't see myself in that way. And
Mhm.
it was in that moment, I just got goosebumps. It was in that moment that I was like, if she sees this for me, I better start seeing it for myself.
Mhm.
And then that has been a really big driving factor for me in helping other people. Like, you might not see it yet, and you might not feel like you are this, quote unquote business builder or leader of a team, but we can see it for other people before they can see it for themselves sometimes. And so now that's a really big piece for me, is helping other people like see it for themselves if they can't see it for themselves initially.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Wow. Wow. So yeah, so I hear you saying, like, so Liesel was a huge voice. That Ignite event, hearing Andrea speak and share her story, and then kind of hearing these other stories, it was like, oh, maybe I could. And then when Liesel kind of really said, hey, no, this, you got this, like, you could totally do this. That was like almost like the final soul reminder or something. It was like, hey, you
It
got
was. It
you
was
can
like
do
a
this.
smash. It
Yeah.
was like, I see you doing that with your hands, and that's kind of what it felt like. It was like, here you go, like you're there. Like, you either do it or you don't, and that's how it was for me. So
Hmm.
big moments for
Yeah,
sure.
that's so amazing. That's so amazing. And I am totally with you on just like the cross line, the community environment. Like I get them, as you're sharing about Lisa, I'm like, oh, love her, you know, like, it's just, it's so neat to see all of us kind of, I think what this business forces us all to do is really take a look in the mirror and be like, "Ooh, okay, what are some of those big dreams that I shut out way long ago or something, right? What are those dreams that I actually do want to make happen?" Some of that comes up, right? It's like you look in the mirror and you're like, "Ooh, why am I not showing up that, or why am I showing up that way and not this way?" Like, and you start to be like, "Oh, I'm anxious. I'm nervous." Like it's been
Absolutely.
such
Or
a
not
healing.
even knowing that you had those dreams. And then all of a sudden they're put in front of you as an option. And you're like, oh, well, yeah, maybe I do want that.
Yeah,
When you have an option to possibly dive into something. So,
yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just so grateful for you hopping on and sharing a little bit of your story with folks who joined live or on or who are watching this on replay, or that we've happened. I perhaps will send this video over to some folks as they are curious to learn more. Um, yeah, love it, love it. If what
yeah.
is there a to close? Is there a why driving you right now? Like when you wake up, what's really like propelling you into action to share, because these products are game changers, right? And the business is a game changer. It's right. You feel that, I feel that. What's what's really propelling you to do the things, to do the business things?
So my why kind of has, again, like pivoted and changed throughout the past 6 years. It started as, having that income to stay at home and not have to return to the classroom. And so I've kind of checked that mark, right, as a thousandaire.
Mm,
And so my why has really shifted into other people seeing it as a possibility. Like I, was presented, like you could do this, you have the power, you have, once you decide.
mhm,
Um, and then also just watching my kids, my daughter especially, I think it's important that they know that there's multiple paths out there. Um, College is not necessarily for everybody. Not everybody does great in college. We all have our skills, we all have our strengths, and our, weaknesses. And so I want my kids to be able to identify where they're strong and where that could lead them. And
mm,
that might potentially be as an entrepreneur. And so I want them to see that. So my drive is now for my kids to see other options out there. So if mom can be successful in, having a solid career for the first part of her life and then, take a different path, that it's okay and that maybe that's an option for them.
mm. Beautiful. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, to that next generation, like offering them like, yes, there are options, right? Because instead of that, this is how it's going to be. You're like, you're modeling for them what's possible. I'm so proud of you and the business you're growing. I know you've created a community that really like cheers each other on. And I see that regularly in what y'all are creating. And yeah, I'm just grateful to be a part of the LWN community and get to connect with you via this conversation and also just on a regular basis. So
So good. I appreciate your time
yeah.
and
Anyway, thanks
feedback.
thanks everybody. If you do have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to Cassie. Reach out to those of us at Living Well Now. Reach out to your friend who's committed to essential oils, maybe committed to growing a business. Reach out to them and say, hey, I want to learn more about this residual income side hustle option. We'll be sure to post the income disclosure statement in the comments so that you can take a peek at that and just to see what's possible. So anyway, thanks y'all. Cassie, thanks so much. Have a beautiful night. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon.